What if I told you that one cryptocurrency just skyrocketed while everything else was barely moving? And what if I had told you that it happened because of a government decision that hasn't even happened yet? So I woke up the other day to an absolute surprise in my crypto feed. XRP, yes, Ripple's XRP, it shot up over 12% in a single day, hitting around $2.57, while Bitcoin and Ethereum were just kind of plodding along. Now my heart nearly skipped a beat here, seeing one coin leave the others in the dust. Something big had to be behind this, right? Well, sure enough, I found out that it's all tied to a major move in Washington, D.C. and those long-awaited crypto ETFs that we've all been hearing about. Now in this video, I'm going to be taking you on my own personal journey, uncovering why XRP is going wild, what a US government reopening has to do with it, and how I'm gearing up for what could be a pivotal moment in crypto. So trust me, by the end of this video, you're going to see why this isn't just another news day. It actually feels like the start of a new chapter. So stick around, because I've also got this little side quest involving a project called Unity Nodes, plus a special XRP reward offer for our community that you won't want to miss. So let's dive in. No financial advice, of course. More on that in a second. So picture this, it's been a frustrating few weeks in crypto. The US government basically went on pause during the shutdown, and that meant that the SEC, the people who would approve those fancy crypto ETFs, were just stuck twiddling their thumbs. And all of the exciting stuff that we were waiting on was just put on hold. So if you're like me, an XRP enthusiast or holder, then you probably kind of felt the angst of it all. Now, we were all thinking, great, another delay. When will we finally catch a break? Well, regulatory process was frozen, the market was in limbo, and it felt like watching paint dry. Then, boom, out of absolutely nowhere, XRP starts moving. And I don't mean just a little tick upwards, no. I'm talking about a rather serious pump. While the overall market was actually slightly green, XRP was absolutely standing out. So I grabbed my phone, I was like, wait, what? Why is XRP rallying now, and why is it happening at this particular moment? So at first I wondered if there was some kind of random whale or some kind of rumor that maybe I had missed. But the answer turned out to be hiding in, well, plain sight. In the news about the government finally actually reopening. You see, it turns out that the US Senate had voted to advance a funding package, basically setting the stage for the government to reopen in a few days. That was the key. See, once the government is back, the SEC can get back to work, and that means that all of those pending crypto ETF applications, including for XRP, can move forward after being stuck for over a month. Now, this wasn't just a bureaucratic piece of news, right? For crypto, it was like unblocking a dam. In fact, one ETF analyst that I do follow, 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗰𝗍, actually said that at the end of the shutdown, when opens the floodgates essentially for all of those spot crypto ETFs. Floodgates, his words, not mine. And get this, he pointed out that the first spot XRP ETF under the 1933 Securities Act could launch as close as this week. Yes, exactly November 13th if Canary Capital is poised to debut an XRP ETF. That is just days away. So no wonder that traders were suddenly racing to grab XRP. They're anticipating a wave of new money flowing in. Now, why is that ETF detail so exciting? Well, earlier in the year, we saw a different kind of XRP fund, right? The Rex Osprey XRP Trust that launched under the older rules. And it was okay. But analysts say that these new ETFs under the 1933 Act could attract significantly more investment, where we're talking potentially much larger inflows, because they're more accessible to bigger institutions. It's like the difference between a tiny garden hose and a fire hose, right? The volume of capital that could pour into those XRP ETFs is just on another level. So when I saw XRP's price spiking, it clicked. The smart money might be positioning ahead of these ETF approvals. As 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗰𝗍, the co-founder of EZA, tweeted, XRP moving the most off government reopening news shows you where the demand actually is. Now that comment, it kind of hit me like a truck, right? It's telling us that the market and probably some institutions are laser focused on XRP whenever there is a hint of regulatory process. Right, or progress, I should say. Now, in plain English here, it means that people are hungry for XRP exposure, and ETFs could be the buffet that they've all been waiting for. Now, Dom even suggested that once the shutdown officially ends, XRP's price could rocket hard on that pent-up demand. Rocket hard. It sounds pretty good to me. But here is where things get even more interesting. I kept digging and I found out that a prominent XRP developer who goes by the name of Vincent Van Code hinted at a major announcement coming for XRP as soon as the government reopens. Now, this kind of got my spidey sense tingling. Right after those funding bills passed, apparently several ETF issuers updated their own filings. They even reserved ticker symbols like GXRP or XRPZ, right? If you ask me, that sounds like they're gearing up for a launch. Now, Vincent expects that we're going to get official SEC decisions on these ETFs about 4 weeks after things resume at the SEC. So, do the math. If the government reopens in the next day or two, then we're potentially going to be looking at XRP ETF approvals by late November or early December. And that is literally just around the corner. It's like knowing a secret countdown has started, and the XRP community, myself included, is sitting here buzzing with anticipation. Now, you might be thinking, all right, XRP pumped 12%. Is it too late? Or did we miss the move, right? Well, that's where a twist in our story really comes in, right? Because despite the rally that we saw a couple of days ago, some analysts believe that XRP is still nowhere near its true value if these ETFs deliver the kind of institutional demand that we expect. Now, one community figure that I really respect, Zach Rector, flat out said that XRP ETFs are not priced in. In other words, even after this pump, the market hasn't fully valued the impact of these upcoming ETFs just yet. And looking at the data, I get why he is saying that. Because during the government shutdown, XRP's price was kind of just sleepy, barely really reacting, even though behind the scenes big players were accumulating. Did you know that CME Group XRP futures saw over $26 billion in volume recently? And that earlier XRP Trust that I mentioned, the Rex Osprey ETF, quietly grew by about $130 million in assets. That's a lot of money betting on XRP's future, and yet the price didn't do much, not until now. So it's kind of like pressure is building behind the dam. Nothing is happening for a while, but you can see a leak. And that's like today's kind of price is doing whatever it's doing, but you know that the flood might actually be coming. So if these analysts are right about all this, then the pump that we saw a few days ago and the market today, these could just be the opening acts, right? The big show, the true ETF-driven surge, might still be ahead of us. And all of this has me feeling a mix of excitement and a bit of caution. On one hand, it really does feel like we're on the cusp of something huge. I mean, think about it. A year or two ago, XRP was kind of mirrored as the lawsuit with that kind of SEC, right? And nobody was going near it. We were biting our nails, wondering if XRP would even survive as an asset, right? Fast forward to now, and the lawsuit stuff is behind us. The narrative has completely flipped. We're talking about XRP potentially being one of the first cryptos with a fully approved mainstream ETF. The irony here is pretty sweet, isn't it? The same regulators who once dragged XRP through the mud might soon give a green light that sends it to the moon. It reminds me of those moments in history where sentiment completely changed. Like when a player that everyone underestimated suddenly becomes the MVP, right? Part of me is thinking of the late 2017 vibes, when XRP was on the brink of a major breakout, except this time the infrastructure and institutional interests are so much bigger. It's almost like the calm before the storm, and I can feel that tension in the air. But before I get too carried away with all of that, let me drop a rather quick reality check. Now, this might just shock you, but I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile, and you could lose all of the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. After all, your investments are entirely your responsibility, and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses, and this video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. All right, so that's the important disclaimer out of the way. Let's get back into XRP's moment in the spotlight and how it's got me thinking hard about how I'm positioning myself in this space. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not content in just sitting on my hands and watching the show. I actually want to be ready for whatever comes next. So I've been taking some steps, and I want to share them with you as part of this story. So consider it my personal game plan for the next phase of crypto, and maybe it'll spark some ideas for you. Of course, not advice, just what I am personally doing. First off, I've been exploring new ways to earn crypto passively because, hey, if this is, really the start of a much bigger run, then I want to stack as much as I guess Satoshis or Lovelaces, or in XRP's case here, drops, which is what they call the units, by the way, as I can, right? And that leads me to something called Unity nodes. Now, I've mentioned Unity nodes in many videos already, so OG viewers, you know what I'm talking about here. But if you are new, Unity nodes basically lets you turn your old smartphones into a part of a global telecoms network, and you get paid in crypto for it. Think of it like this. Your phone becomes a tiny piece of, telecoms infrastructure, doing things like verifying calls and network data to make sure that everything is running as it should. And it records anything that shouldn't be there or anything that's missing or errors and stuff like that to the world mobile blockchain. And in return for your work here, you earn some crypto rewards. Kind of like mining or staking, but you're using mobile phones and the telecom infrastructure to basically do this for you. Now, I kept hearing about this project, and I finally did jump in myself. I purchased a Unity node, when it came with 200 licenses. Basically, that gives me 200 slots for devices on the network. And to start with, I'm obviously just going to be testing the water with 10 phones, setting them up, connecting to the network, seeing how the rewards are. And if that is successful, then I will gradually scale this up to more of those licenses. Now, the cool part is that I can choose to be paid out in various different cryptocurrencies. I'm opting to be paid for, my rewards to be paid for in Bitcoin, Ethereum, ADA, and XRP. Why those, of course? Well, it's because they're the ones that I believe in the long term, right? And, getting a little trickle of each of those, through Unity is just a great way to grow my bags without actually buying any more outright. So it's kind of like planting the money tree, right? That drops crypto fruits over time. Now, let me be super clear here. Unity nodes is not the main focus for today. It's just, something that I'm doing here, and it's not going to be for everyone. It's a little techie, it's an experimental thing, and you absolutely should do your own research if you are interested in it, right? I've got links in the description down below to Unity's website where you can find their light paper, their rewards calculator, and you can see all the potential earnings for yourselves. Now, don't just jump in because I did, of course, you got to know what you're getting into. With that said, I am genuinely excited about it. And a lot of us in the community have been talking about Unity for quite a while. It's also popped up on Polkadot's radar, and Shiba Inu has recently partnered up with Unity too. So it's not a brand new idea. It has been out for a little bit. And, there are a lot of big players jumping on board. And I'm really keen to see how this works in action. In fact, I even went ahead and bought a second and third Unity node. And my plan here is to actually lease the licenses out to people who are curious about Unity, but maybe don't want to have to deal with 200 devices for themselves. Now, it's kind of like splitting the cost and sharing in the rewards, right? And we're going to post more about that and how it all works down in our Discord. The link is in the description down below if you haven't already joined. So, if Unity nodes or passive crypto via your phone interests you, then definitely go ahead and check out the resources in the description or in the Discord and ask some questions. We've got a whole community in there sharing experiences with all of this stuff. Now, Unity is just one piece of my strategy puzzle here. The other piece is actually making sure that I'm prepared on the exchange front too. Here's the thing, when markets get really wild, and trust me here, if an XRP ETF gets approved, things are going to get pretty wild. Exchanges, they will sometimes struggle here. So we've seen it before. Exchanges go down, they get overloaded with new users, or even temporarily halt withdrawals just because they can't keep up with it all. Now, the last thing that you want is to be locked out of an account or unable to move some funds when the opportunity strikes. So I have a little personal rule here. Always have a plan A, plan B, plan C when it comes to these exchanges. Now, I've made sure that I'm signed up, KYC verified, and have tested a whole bunch of different exchanges that I personally trust. Because you never know which one you might actually have an issue at the wrong time, right? So I spread out my activity. Now, for me, this includes things like, Binance, Coinbase, Kraken, 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗰𝗋, BitGet, among many others. Now, these are a few of the regular exchanges that I do use. Full disclosure, of course, I have a link in the description down below to my website, and I list all of the exchanges that I do personally use, and the links on that website, they are affiliate links, which means if you use those links to sign up and trade, it actually helps support the channel here at no extra cost to yourselves. I mention that because it really does help us out massively, and it is very much appreciated. So if you do head over to the website and use any of those links, I want to say a big thank you for you guys. Anyway, the main point is this: by having accounts ready on multiple different exchanges, I'm never caught flat-footed, right? If exchange A goes down, then I can jump over to exchange B or C or D, and I can just keep on trading or taking profits or whatever I need to do. Now, this is one of those little prep steps that not a lot of people actually talk about until it's, well, too late. Now, I learned that the hard way in past bull runs, when a certain exchange, I'm not going to name any names, froze up exactly when I wanted to sell. It is not fun, so now I stay prepared. Now, speaking of exchanges and being prepared, I'm actually pretty thrilled to share a new opportunity with all of you guys. I've partnered up with Kraken, one of the most reputable crypto exchanges that are out there. I hook you guys up with a very special XRP reward. So, here's the deal. If you sign up for Kraken through my link that's in the description down below and trade at least $100 worth of any cryptocurrency, excluding stablecoins, within 30 days of opening the account, well, Kraken will give you $25 worth of XRP as a reward. Yes, free XRP for just doing some trading. Now, this is a limited time offer, so if you're thinking about it, now is probably the time. It's also a great way to kickstart or even add to XRP stack if you ask me. I mean, $25 worth of XRP might not sound life-changing today, but if XRP really does go where we think it might, well, that could be a pretty sweet little boost in hindsight, right? Plus, even beyond this little reward, it gets you set up on another solid exchange. Like I said, having multiple options is going to be key, and Kraken is definitely one that you're going to want in your arsenal. And it's been around for over a decade, super secure, and frankly, one of my go-to places. So you get an account on a top tier exchange and some extra XRP. Talk about a win-win. Now, all the details and the sign-up links are in the description down below, and we've got the full terms and conditions also there as well. Now, it's important that you do read the fine print because there are lots of little intricacies here that you need to be aware of, such as making sure that you use the link that's in the description down below. Another link will not be eligible, so you have to use the link that's in the description. The second thing is you have to trade $100. Now, that can be on spot, and I don't believe it's excluding derivatives and things like that, but just think about it like you can buy $100 worth of XRP on Kraken, and you'll get rewarded with $25 worth of XRP, so 25% reward, right? And the other part of this, which is really important, is not every jurisdiction is going to be eligible for the rewards and the bonuses, so do make sure you pay attention to all of the fine print within the terms and conditions. And as always, the link in the description, that's an affiliate link, which means it does support the channel here at no extra cost to yourself, and it is very much appreciated. But honestly, I would share this deal even if it was not an affiliate link thing, right? Because $25 in XRP is $25 in free XRP. Now, I want as many of you guys to snag that as possible. So by this point in my journey, a realization really did sink in, right? Because watching XRP spike on mere rumors of a government restart and XRP progress, or XRP ETF progress, made one thing crystal clear here. The game is changing. Just the hint of regulatory green lights is stirring up some serious FOMO, the fear of missing out, among many traders and institutions. If anticipation alone can do this, just imagine what actual approvals and launches could trigger. It's like we've been watching a teaser trailer and the full movie is about to premiere. In my mind, I'm reframing this whole XRP rally not as the end result of some news, but as the beginning of a much larger story, a story where XRP, once the underdog, hounded by the regulators, could become the frontrunner leading the charge in mainstream crypto adoption. And being aware of that, being a part of it, feels incredibly thrilling. Now, this isn't just about one token's price going up. It's about a shift in how the world might start valuing and using crypto assets. That is the bigger picture that today's little rally hinted at. So, what is the takeaway here? Well, for me, it's that in the crypto landscape, or at least it's that the crypto landscape can flip from this quiet, to this explosive scenery overnight, and fortunes will favor the prepared. XRP's jump showed that when real fundamentals like, the government turning back on or an ETF green light intersects with primed market, well, the reaction can be massive and swift. It's a wake-up call that things we've been speculating about for years, crypto ETFs, institutional adoption, regulatory clarity, are finally materializing. And this is likely to just be the start, with the first XRP ETF potentially launching in days, or more decisions are looming. Now, this video is going out on the 14th. I'm recording it on the 12th, and somewhere slap bang in the middle of that, the 13th, we should actually see an XRP ETF, all being well. So by the time you're watching this, we might actually have the first XRP ETF actually live. How exciting would that be? You'll know more about that than I do at this point in time. But we are entering this pivotal moment nonetheless that could shape XRP's long-term value, even how other cryptos are perceived. Now, I'm hopeful, but I'm not naive. Nothing is going to be guaranteed in this world. Still, I'd much rather be optimistic and ready than cynical and just miss out. Personally, I've positioned myself to ride this wave. I've got my XRP, I've got my passive earning experiments, and I've got my exchange contingency plans. I'm watching those dates, November 13th as an example, and the weeks that will follow, like a hawk. And you can bet I'm going to keep you all updated every step of the way. To everybody watching this, I invite you all to reflect on this too. Are you prepared if things really do take off? Maybe it's reviewing your portfolio strategy. Maybe it's something as simple as setting up some extra exchange accounts or joining our Discord to stay in the loop. Speaking of which, we'd love to hear what you think as well. Do you believe that these XRP ETFs will be a game changer, or do you think it's just all overhyped? Let me know your thoughts in the comments or hop into the Discord for deeper chats with the community. It's free and full of people who love talking crypto all day long. So if you found this video and story insightful and you want to join us in the next chapter, make sure to hit that like button and the subscribe button and join our little crypto family here. Stay curious, stay safe, and I'll catch you in the next one.